to call a Township of North Huntington Board of Commissioners regular meeting for Wednesday, June 15th, 2022 at 7 p.m. Roll call.
Commissioner Stump,
Here.
Commissioner Atwood,
Here.
Commissioner Gray,
Here.
Commissioner Zona,
Here.
Commissioner Wingren, Commissioner Goss, President Hagus.
Here, could everyone please stand and rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If any residents would like to speak tonight, could you please sign the book at the podium? Thank you. Our first resident is Mr. Morgan. Could you state your name and address for the record, please?
I'm Bob Morgan. I live 871 Northeast Drive, North Huntington. I'm just here today to bring up two concerns. So I live off of Brownstown, but that drain on Brownstown Road, I've called them before. They get back to me. Years ago, they brought a big vacuum thing out, tried to get the sludge out of the drain. And what happens when there's a bad storm, that doesn't recede. It stays like halfway onto that road. In the winter times, it's really bad. So I'm just asking if the commissioners or the township could somehow connect them. And I don't even know where that drain goes, honestly. I don't know where it goes to. If there's some way PennDOT could remedy that problem right there, too, so it's not hopefully there's never going to be an accident there, but in the wintertime it's really bad because you don't see that. It's ponding there and you come up and unless you know it's there, you have to be very careful. And the other issue is my brother wanted me to bring this up. He lives in Scotch Hill too. He wanted to know if that area you looked at before is the best they're going to do, or is they're going to drain that or put another drain and possibly add another little sectional guardrail on that right-hand side because it gets so narrow that he's afraid that people may go off the road there. So that's the two issues. Thank you.
Name and address for the record, please.
Dan Beisler, attorney, 41 Robin Station Road, North Huntington is my office location. And good evening. I'm here on behalf of Mr. Hamilton. You have on your agenda for consideration under your solicitor's report reconsideration of a request for rezoning ordinance that Mr. Hamilton had pursued with you, I believe, a month ago. And if you'll recall, back in March, the Planning Commission met and talked about this and reviewed his proposed plans. This was the R1A property that he wants to convert to C1. He wants to build a building there to store his personal vehicles. And if you'll recall, before that was the use of it was a mobile home park. And since the time of the mobile home park being there, the mobile home trailers have been removed. It's a vacant property. As your planning gentleman, Mr. Fonzie, had indicated to you when he made a memorandum to you on March 8th, most of the property along Route 30 has a C1 zoning designation. Properties near or directly abutting Mr. Hamilton's site are C1. So, again, we're just asking for reconsideration of this. I believe, there might have been a concern about traffic, but I would suggest to you that, conducting a mobile home park, there would be more traffic than somebody wanting to use this for personal use. The zoning change is being requested in order for him to build this building for his own personal use. And under your planning ordinance, you have the right, if you grant the application, to put conditions on this. So, if it's only one building that you want on there, Mr. Hamilton's going to have to submit to your engineer his plans, and they have to be approved. And if there's storm water problems, they have to be addressed as well. So, again, I'm just asking for reconsideration of this because, as you go down Route 30, it seems like every property there is zoned C1. And yes, this sits up above, and you have to make like an extreme right if you're coming this way to get up to that property. But if it's only for personal use and you put that restriction on it, I don't see what the harm is, and I think it benefits the community that instead of this vacant land sitting there, you see those pictures, there's a building there for the storage of vehicles. And then the attorney in me is telling you, please consider this again, because the property that's adjacent to it, back in '07, Courtesy bought it from Mrs. It's not Mrs. Courtesy. Who was the?
Shorkey.
Yeah, Mrs. Shorkey. So what happened there, it was R1A. The big lemon part there was R1A. And in '07, after it was bought, they came before you and asked you to change it from R1A to C1, and that was approved. So Mr. Hamilton's property is, as you're looking at this diagram, it's to the left. In small print, you can see it says Hamilton Limited Partnership. That was prior to his purchase of it back in, I believe, December of '21. But the line at the bottom is Route 30. Next to that is the land holding from Courtesy that's Zone C1, Thermo King Zone C1, APS Properties Zone C1. And the Courtesy holding that was granted the change back in '07, you can see how far back that goes from Route 30. It doesn't even abut Route 30, and it was granted C1. So I suggest to you, and your solicitor can tell you this more than I can, so we can't appeal if you deny us this request. But what we can do is challenge your zoning ordinance, the validity of it. Because if you don't allow this gentleman to use his property this way, my argument would be that you're putting him out on a zoning island. And it's actually something called reverse spot zoning, which sometimes can be hard to prove in court. But I think given what you have here with the properties that are abutting his property, that are C1, that could be a possibility. And I don't want to go that route. I mean, this gentleman, he's a taxpayer, he's been in the community for years, you know the name. I think it's something that we just respectfully request the Board of Commissioners to reconsider. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Is there any other residents that would like to speak tonight that they didn't get a chance to sign the book? All right, not seeing any response to citizen input. Rich, do you have any follow-up for Mr. Morgan?
Mr. Morgan, you can, talk to your brother about this, but I have to be quite honest with you. We're probably not going to be putting a drain there anytime soon, not this year anyhow. It's just not practical with our workload and our staffing at this time that would be able to do something. It's pretty much a low priority. So unfortunately, it is what it is. And all we can do is monitor to make sure that there's no water that gets onto the street in the wintertime by doing a little trench like we did this past winter. But unfortunately, I can't sit here and say that we're going to be able to get that done anytime soon.
Any other response from Mr. Morgan?
Could we have a letter sent to PennDOT and ask that they do some maintenance there?
Yeah, I think we could probably do that. Could we, manager? Yeah.
I think there's two different questions. The one's
Yeah.
on Scotch Hill and the other one's on Brownstown.
That's correct.
Or isn't it, correct me if I'm wrong, Brownstown's a state road, but
Right.
Scotch Hill is a township.
Scotch Hills Township, right?
Okay, so I
correct.
think we're gonna ask for on the Brownstown
Browns, yeah.
issue. Okay. Just want to keep myself straight. Thank
Yep,
you.
you're welcome. And then the next one was about the Hamilton project that's on the agenda. This board just want to address that when it comes up on the agenda. All right, thank you. Approval of meetings minutes for the special meeting 5/12/22.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor by stating aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. For the regular meeting 5/18/22.
Motion
I'm
to-
sorry, Zapped. I'm on. Did you hear me?
Yes, we heard you.
Okay.
Motion to approve the regular meeting from 5/18/22. Second.
Discussion. All those in favor by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Payment of bills.
Motion to pay voucher number 14376 through voucher number 14457. Second.
Discussion? All those in favor by stating aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Staff reports, Public Works report. Director Albert? Anything to add to your report tonight, sir?
Yes, I'd like to discuss one item. The street sweeper saga. Unfortunately, our street sweeper has broke down again. And I was just brought aware of this. 10 grand, and we just put 15 grand into it at the beginning of the year. So basically, our new one's supposed to be built here in June 25th, so I'm looking for delivery sometime at the beginning of July. Of course, it was supposed to be done in March, April, the end of May, now the end of June. So I can tell you as of now, we have no street sweeper. It's unfortunate, especially if we'd get any type of a storm like they're calling for, severe thunderstorms, and you know as well as I do, debris on the road from storms, people's driveways washed out. We're in a little bit of a bind here. And unfortunately, I brought this 2 years ago. We should have bought a street sweeper if my recommendation was followed. But of course, that's nor here nor there. I don't know what to say at this point. I have the dealer coming down. We're going to meet and we're going to discuss, is it worth putting 10 more thousand into it? I mean, we just put 15,000 into it at the beginning of the year. That was against Manager Silka's. He didn't want to do that, although we couldn't have made it throughout this portion of the season without that thing. We would have been in big trouble. We use that not only for street sweeping, it's a vacuum. We use it for drainage. I mean, we use that thing for assortment of different things. It's such an important piece of equipment for our fleet, but it's also a high maintenance. It's very high maintenance. Ours has extended its service life by a few years. The auxiliary engine has 10,000 hours on it. When you start getting up to 8,000 hours on them things, you're better to get it, move it on for the best interest of anybody, whoever has a sweeper and knows about street sweepers. We exceeded that by 2 years, and we're paying for it. So, I mean, I don't know what to say at this point, other than I'm just keeping my fingers crossed that they'll come through and we'll finally get our street sweeper over a year. We've been waiting for it. And it just rolls into everything else that the issues we're having in this, with the supply chain and every other damn thing that's going on in this country, waiting for, trucks, materials. Here's another item I'm going to I'm going to bring up to you guys, salt. Our contract's just about running out. We pay $68.50 a ton for salt delivered. I'm probably 1,500 ton to fill my shed up at least. We're probably right at budget now. I'm going to go, with your blessing, so we're going to be way over budget, but if we don't, look out for next year. I'll let Harry Houdini figure out where we're going to come up with the cash for this one. How we can get out of this one. The truck for this year, that's in the budget for this year. I haven't even ordered a chassis for it because we can't. They're not even taking any more orders. I just found out that I can get a chassis that somebody didn't want. It's a Dodge versus a Ford, which we've never had before. But I was going to discuss this tomorrow with Harry, but it's going to cost about $6,000 more than what was budgeted. So, we either take it or we don't. We're running into all kind of issues here. We haven't gotten our last new big truck. It's important that I've always said this all along. We need to get at least one new truck a year because that gives that about a 15-year lifespan on these trucks. They rust out, they're in corrosives, they haul corrosives. So that's, 15, 16 years, you're stretching it. How many people here drive a vehicle 16 years besides Rich Gray? Drive a vehicle that's 16 years old. I mean, not too many, and not in this day and age, right? So the last big truck we had was 2020. We didn't have the money. I mean, it gets back to, you're saying, Zach, we keep on kicking the can down the road here. Well, one of these kicks here, somebody's going to get their toe cut off. So I'm telling you folks this because we're heading down a slippery slope here, and I care. That's why I'm telling you this. And I don't know, we were always told as a staff that you guys have always been, you've been aware of all the things that are going on, but, you don't want to raise taxes so you got to make the decisions on, where we pursue moving forward. Less service. I've been 4 people down since the beginning of the year. We advertised twice. First time we advertised, we got 4 applicants. The last time we advertised again, we got 4 more, 8 applicants. My God, years ago, there was a line up from our front door to the highway, people wanting a job here. I couldn't even go to church without somebody asking me in church if they could get a job with the Township. Well, guess what? These jobs ain't so great anymore, ladies and gentlemen. So I can tell you that, I've been here for 27 years doing this stuff, and I just want to be upfront and honest with you folks. I mean, we're saving a buck by cutting the budget, but things that maybe you don't know and the public don't know, it's costing us $2 to save a buck. So I guess that's all I got to say about that.
Any questions for Director Albert?
I have a couple questions, Director Albert, not on that subject, and they both may be PennDOT issues, but we voted several months ago about the air brake restriction on Route 30. And are we waiting for signs from PennDOT for that, or how does that work?
No, you know what, let me follow up on it.
Okay.
I kind of, slipped my mind here, so let me see where
That's
we're at
okay,
with
yeah,
that.
I was just checking on the progress of that. And then the second question, I got notified by a resident today, South Side Road where it meets 993. They
Okay.
said there were some white lines painted on 993 there. Do we know what that was for? They said it was just painted today, right there at the intersection, like it looks like almost a stop sign is going to be put up on 993 there.
Yeah, not to my knowledge. I mean, I could check and see what the one call is. I'm sure it's
Okay.
probably markings for a one call.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't go look. I got a message today before I come here. They said there's some lines painted like across the road. It looks like it might be like a stop sign line or something,
Yeah,
If you could just check on it, let me know.
Sure, I can let you
Thank
know
you.
about that.
Thanks.
Anything else for public?
Director Albert, I have a question. I just wanted to see and follow up on the bottom of Airview that I talked to you about
Yes.
for Mrs. Pushko's house. See if there was any movement on that.
We did not notify the water company on it. They were supposed to go out, immediately the next day. I believe our road inspector had met with, their contractor from the road or from the water company. Whether they actually performed the work as of today, I'm not sure, but they're certainly aware of it, and they're certainly aware that they're responsible for it, and they will fix it.
Do you know if any sandbags were placed out? Because she's just concerned whenever we get the next big rain that her yard and house will flood again because of there being no barrier.
I don't know, I don't believe that sandbags were put out, but I mean, that's certainly an option. We can, if not, if it hadn't been completed, the work, I'll see if we have anything down there that we can put for her sake,
Okay, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions on Public Works?
Yeah, Rich, the drainage project on Daly Drive,
Yes.
can you tell me a little about that, how that came about and what motivated it? And
Well,
How the cost breakdown is going?
Well, I mean, the cost of the township is nothing. I mean, we didn't do that job, but the homeowner that's building the house on Daly Drive, he was required to do that work. It was based on, a neighbor's complaint below. I'd have to say the homeowner went above and beyond what he probably should have did.
Well, you're saying the township didn't pay for that?
No, it was
Nothing. So they did the part in our right of way too, down the road?
yes,
Okay.
yeah, that was all.
Yeah,
paid.
it was raised by a neighbor down there that they were concerned that the township was paying for that lateral that goes back to the storm drain along the driveway to catch it off the hillside.
Right.
Yeah,
The folks that are building the house, they did a little detention system.
Right.
Initially, and that didn't alleviate the water issues. So with Bob Robinson's recommendation, they did more extensive work to be able to alleviate the water issue, and it required dropping an inlet in and,
Right.
tying it
And that-
into another one. It's all through the expense of
of the homeowner.
the homeowner.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Thank you. Other thing, Calderville Road, the issue we had talked about, is that on the schedule?
That'll be priority this fall. That'll
Okay.
definitely be prior to winter.
All right, and then I would like to meet with you at Ridgeview and Ridge Road. The corner house, I don't know if they have a sump pump or something, a spring coming out onto Ridgeview, but it runs both ways. It goes to the right down Ridgeview, and it goes out towards Ridge. And it's not an issue right now, but in the winter, it freezes and about 50 yards down the street on Ridge. And I got to complain about that. So I'd like to meet out there with you at some point, maybe in July.
Okay, sure, just let
Okay.
me know.
Thanks.
Anything else on Public Works? I just appreciate you being honest with us. Now, obviously, we'll try to address what we can with some of your supply issues, getting trucks and whatnot. And then, I don't know, obviously, you maybe probably already looked into it, but for the street sweeper, have we looked at maybe trying to rent one for a month or two instead of, or just no availability?
Nothing out
All
there.
right, yeah, I figured as much. All right, thank you. Park and Recreation Report. I don't believe Director Miller's here tonight. Any questions for Park and Rec? Not seeing any. Okay. Emergency Management Report. Any questions to get back to Rob Mahinsky? All right. Police Report. Chief Rizzo.
I have a few things, not to the report, but I did want to mention the Junior Police Academy is going on right now up at Oak Hollow Park. Today was completion of day 3. You can go on the police Facebook page, or I think the township even adds some stuff or likes our posts, and they've been putting posts up every day on the activities that's going on. Also, Friday at noon is graduation. It's open to the Board of Commissioners, anybody else that wants to attend. So they're going to do a small graduation ceremony with parents, and we had 30 cadets at the academy this year. So neat day yesterday. They were down in the water, thanks to Rescue 8 and Director Spielvogel. They had the boats down there, and they had them on river rescue, and myself and Manager Harry stopped down and took a look, and Harry actually participated and was very interactive with the cadets, and it was much appreciated to see Harry interacting with at that level. So I told him that yesterday, and I wanted you all to know that he takes a very hands-on approach to things, and it was nice to see. So today they were up at the parks today. I believe we had County R&I down today. They were doing crime scene processing today and shooting some simunition rounds, paint rounds, and so that was going on today. So it's been a good week. It's been a hot week, so it was good to be on the water yesterday. And the other thing I want to mention is on the 25th of June, 1 p.m. to 6 p.m., is the Norwood Community First Responders event. It's down in Irwinboro, right on Main Street this year. It'll be all our Norwood Community First Responders, including police, EMS, and fire. There's going to be canine demonstration, food trucks. I think the fire departments are putting on some things, static displays, interaction with all the first responders. So it should be a nice day, so we'll pray for good weather, and everyone's welcome. I think we've been putting some posts up on Facebook, on our page, and on the Township page also. So if anybody has any questions, they can always reach out to the department, and we can answer them for them. All right.
Thank you. Any questions for the chief tonight?
No, I don't have a question, but Chief, just wanted to ask you to send a thank you along to all your guys that are involved in the task force. I know I brought this up before, but I think it needs to be said what our task force here, it's the Attorney General's task force that's located here in Westmoreland County, right across the highway. And again, we've talked before, it's made up of a lot of local police officers from the county.
Yep.
Year to date, I'll just be real quick, year to date, they did 72 undercover buys. They made 98 arrests. They seized $297,000 in cash, and they seized 51 guns off the street. So they're surely making an impact, not only in North Huntington, but in all of Westmoreland County. So we really appreciate what you guys are doing. If you would pass that along to them.
Add one
Thank
more
you.
from today.
Okay, perfect. Another arrest?
Another case today, but you can
Awesome.
add one more gun.
Good, good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, chief.
You're welcome.
Plan and zoning report. Any questions on the fire officials report tonight? Okay, subdivision land development.
Good evening. We have 3 items tonight. The first item, item number 1, subdivision 10 of 2022, Brookhaven 4 Revision 1 on Morris Avenue, R3 zoning, requesting board action to approve this subdivision. That's a lot consolidation.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor by state and aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Item number 2, subdivision 11 of 2022, JP Land Holdings Plan 2 on Guffey Road and Clay Pike, R2 zoning, requesting board action to approve this minor subdivision, which creates 2 lots.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor by state and aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
And item 3 is subdivision 3 of 2022, Rodent Enterprises, requesting board action to approve the resolution for plan revision as part of the Component 3 DEP sewage planning module.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor by state and aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Thank you. Solicitor's report, Solicitor Alexander.
Thank you. There is one action item on the solicitor's report for this evening. It's action to adopt proposed ordinance number 4 of 2022 of the Township of North Huntington, Westmoreland County, amending ordinance number 765 to provide for a zoning change of property owned by Bruce Hamilton. Said property being tax parcel 54-06-03-0-165, wherein 1.1 acres currently zoned R-1A shall be rezoned C1.
I'll make a motion to approve with the conditions that the landowner is required to follow the stormwater requirements, the lighting requirements, and landscaping requirements of that district.
Second.
Discussion?
Yeah, I have some discussion on that. My concerns with this, and listening to Attorney Beisler, I understand what you're saying, and in this map you gave us with the property from Shorkey. And the issue I have is that property is commercial, but it's accessible off of Route 30, off the main highway. If we change this to commercial, what worries me, and again, I believe you, sir, that you're gonna keep that as a storage for your personal use. I believe that. But what I'm looking at is down the road, when you're unfortunately no longer here, if somebody sells that and we have a business up there, there's no other access in or out of that place other than, as we said here, you make that very sharp right-hand turn, which I would consider, and some other may consider, a dangerous turn to get up that hill. And if we have cars going in and out of there to a business up there, that's what concerns me. Now, again, I differentiate it with this map because all of this property here is accessible from Route 30. That property, the way it currently sits, is only accessible from that one road. And that, I have a concern with that. And I don't think I can vote to rezone that because of that concern I have. And I would just like to ask our solicitor, actually, is there any restriction we can put on that it does not have a business on it? I think once it's zoned commercial, it can be commercial, correct?
I think once it's zoned commercial, it can be commercial. You can't rezone something to a use in your zoning classification and limit the permitted uses to that classification. I was also involved in a case years ago where they put a gas station on a corner lot, and one of the conditions of approval was that they would never build an access road down to the side road, and they accepted that condition. About 5 or 6 or 7 years later, they went to court to remove that condition, and they won. So that's a concern.
If I'm not mistaken, would not a new applicant for a new structure have to come before the planning commission with a site plan? And that site plan could also have conditions attached to it?
Absolutely. As long as it were a conditional use. If it was a use permitted in a commercial district as of right, a permitted use, it would not get conditions placed on it.
It would still, any new development would have to meet our ordinance requirements, though,
Absolutely.
as far as lighting, like overspill of lighting, et cetera.
100%.
Solicitor
But-
Alexander.
Go
Go ahead, Rich.
Go ahead, Zach.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, but you can't put a condition on there that they can access it from any road other than Bonnie Drive. You can't say you have to build an access to Route 30. I agree with Ron.
I had some of the similar concerns, and I don't want to hinder Mr. Hamilton from being able to develop his property. I was trying to ask Director Fonzie last meeting if there was a way that under the current I guess it's R1 or R2 district, that he would be able to build an accessory structure without a primary structure there. And obviously we would have to give some type of variance to allow that, but I think that would kind of alleviate both parties, that where Mr. Hamilton might be able to develop his property to build his storage unit, and then that residents would be comfortable with it still being in a residential zone versus a commercial zone.
I think if you make that exception for one residential homeowner, you're going to have to make it for every residential homeowner, and you'd be setting a precedent there.
You have any other board discussion?
My concern was just the upkeep of the property, because it clearly wasn't being taken care of previously, whether it was when the trailers were there. He still owned that land, but I got the feeling that he was just putting that blame on the homeowners and not really taking any kind of ownership on that. And I feel like that was the big concern for those residents up in that area and neighborhood, was that it was a dump and he wasn't taking care of it. And I don't want to hinder him from building a garage either for his vehicles, but I just want to make sure that it's not gonna turn into a disaster again.
Bless you. Any other board discussion? I have a motion and a second. All those in favor by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No. Nay.
Okay.
Roll call vote, Manager Falk.
Commissioner Stump,
Yes.
Commissioner Atwood,
No.
Commissioner Gray,
No.
Commissioner Zona,
No.
Commissioner Wingren,
No.
President Hagus.
No. Motion fails 5-1. Thank you, Solicitor Alexander. Township Manager's Report, Manager Falk.
An action to approve the May check register.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor by stating aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
You have a copy of the budget report for May of 2022. Is there any questions? Okay. Item number 3, action to approve the Memorandum of Understanding between the Township of North Huntington Police Department and Adelphi regarding the school resource officer at Hartford Heights.
Motion to approve. Second.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor by stating aye.
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 Opposed? Motion approved 6-0.
Item number 4, action to approve the agreement between North Huntington Township and Adelphi Education Incorporated.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor by stating aye.
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 Opposed? Motion approved 6-0.
Item number 5, action to authorize the township manager to advertise for RFPs for services to prepare the township's comprehensive plan.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor by stating aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Thank you, Manager. Any further board comments?
Yeah, I just have a question. I think it would probably be directed to Assistant Manager Turley. I just wanted to know if we had a update on the Sync Up program. I know I keep asking about it because I'm waiting for this to happen, and I can't wait. So I
Yeah,
just wanna-
well, I was going to send an email a few weeks back, but I thought I would wait because it's almost a year late or 9 months late to get started. But there's global issues, as you well know. So some material and equipment has been hard to get. So they didn't want to start until they had the equipment. It should be late summer. It should be August, September. So it is moving slow, but everything's ready to go. But when they awarded the contract to Bronder, who has worked here twice before, is a very good contractor, and very familiar with North Huntington. But when they award it, they don't want to really get going until the equipment's going to be on hand, because there's some relatively expensive equipment, and so it all can be done at once. So I would expect certainly by September, that's the latest. But it is moving slow, but it's tied into some of the issues that we've been talking about for months, I guess.
Any other further board comments tonight? Go ahead, Jason.
In light of the response we got from the school district regarding the programs that they are providing per their agreements, I noticed it is a very lengthy list of activities that are designed for people who are in the school district, and not much for the community. I do see there are 4 hour and 45-minute courses available to seniors on how to use your iPhone and other technology. They said that they provide events to us, but all of these events are fee to the public. In my opinion, this is a bad list, and I think we should have something better, but in light of the fact that they are providing these services, I would like to revisit the fee for the roof. Do we need to put it back on, or can I just make a motion?
If you'd like to make a motion to add to the agenda.
Yeah, I'd like to add to the agenda the waiving of the fee for the school district roof.
Just need a second.
I will
Second.
second it.
All right. All in favor for adding it to the agenda, state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. At this time, we would take any public input on adding to the agenda, waiving the fee for the school district's roof replacement work. Not seeing any public input. All right, I guess you want to make a motion to approve or deny the variance?
I motion that we approve the waiver of the fee, permit fee for the roof for Hillcrest.
All right.
Second.
Discussion?
I didn't really get to read all this because it was just sitting here when I walked in 10
Yeah,
minutes.
it came in, I believe,
Yeah.
today. And
Which is fine. I mean, I just still don't feel comfortable. There's a lot of pages here to read. I didn't get to look it over. So,
I would just like to make a couple comments too. When you see the budget summary for 2019, 2020, you can see that they contributed 19,000 roughly to recreation. That was mostly recreation that they would have had to provide through the school district anyways. And in 2019, 2020 of the winter, they contributed 9,100, and we're paying 22,000 for the crossing guards. And as Jason mentioned, the only thing that I see that they are offering for classes is a senior citizens technology class, and they're charging seniors $10 a piece for that. So it's not like they're providing that at school district expense. And I heard with this Norwood Summer Recreation that there were some people that tried to sign up for that and there was no eligibility. The classes were totally full by the time they signed up. So I would still be against using township employees to do inspections for free.
any other board yeah, go ahead, Lindsay.
Just a comment. I support waiving the fee. It's customary. We've done it in the past. I think it's very important that we keep these other issues separate from what we're actually talking about. I think we can revisit programs offered and school crossing guards and all that at another time. And I think the fact that they just voted to increase the taxes by $1 mil is also a separate situation that doesn't really involve us. I just think that it's important for us to keep these things separate and just focus on what we're really talking about here, which is just waiving the building permit fee. It's not costing the township any money. It's just tax dollars, whether it's the school district using those tax dollars or it's the township not getting those extra fees. I mean, it's not, the township workers are going to be doing the work regardless of whether we get paid or not for the permit. So I don't know, it just doesn't make sense to me to deny this, but that's just my opinion.
I would just like to make another comment. I think to say that we have to keep this separate from the programs that they provide, they're the ones that tied them together. They sent us a letter asking to waive the fee because they provide all of this stuff for the township. So we're not putting them together. They did that. That's in their original letter. And secondly, I do think we are going to have township employees doing work without getting paid. That is going to happen if we waive that fee. So I'm still against it. Again, I agree with Virginia and Jason. Most of these things that I can see in here without really diving in and reading this, I mean, I'm glancing at it and looking through it. It's really stuff that is not really free, and it's not really what we're looking for and beneficial to all township residents.
And I would just like to add on to that, we would have to send an inspector out there, and that does have a cost to the township. And we may have to send an engineer out there as well, and that's pricey.
Manager Falk, can you have that list scanned to email so I could review it, please? Sometime this week?
Yes, I'll do that tomorrow morning.
Thank you.
Good.
Do we hold up the school district if we table the vote on that until July?
I would think they'd probably move forward with the project regardless, it's just whether they be paying the fees or not.
Okay.
I
I mean,
think we could-
if people want to review the list, I'm okay. I'll make a motion to table the waiver until July.
Need a second to table it.
Don't we already have a motion that we would have to act on?
Well,
No,
he's
you
gonna
can
table the
table it.
motion. So we have a motion and a second to table the motion to waive the fees for the school district for the roof replacement job. All those in favor by saying an aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes to table 6-0. Any other further board comments?
I just have a quick comment again on the tax office. I know we got the agreement emailed to us. I'd just like that to be added to the agenda for next month so that we can discuss moving forward with that.
All right. Everyone comfortable with tax office lease agreement to be on the agenda for next month?
Yes.
All right. Anything else? I just had two quick things. I had a resident reach out to me, inquiring about like a compost pile for the township or something. I know we had a resident a few months ago, asking about what to do with all their yard waste, and it was easier with prior trash contracts to put yard waste out because we had unlimited trash removal. Maybe it's something we can explore. I can give you the gentleman's contact information. He was a master gardener from Penn State that was interested in maybe trying to help with the project. And then another waste follow-up, I guess. Did we were we able to talk to anyone from management about the bag program, and not to beat up the trash contract even more than we probably want to, but were you able to hear back from them
I
at
did,
all?
yes. Yes, we actually exchanged them. There's a few issues to this, and they're trying to work out a plan that would work.
Okay.
There's
So we're working on it. We
Yeah.
have more.
So we'll have some more discussions with them on next Thursday.
Okay,
So
sounds great.
there's just a few, we're gonna try to work something out. I
All
think
right.
we're gonna come up with some, but I'm not sure exactly. It has to work, and there's been some issues with the program preceding this contract, and we've wrestled with this on and off for years. We thought about doing away with this program a couple years ago. So I think it's a cut rate program. It's really cut rate, way below market cost. So there's just some concerns, so we're working on it. We'll get something back to you as soon as we can come up
Okay.
with something that will
It's
work.
good enough. You're working on it and you'll
Yes.
get back to us. Thank you.
And I'd just like to say thank you, Mike, for all the headaches you've had to endure with this, because I know it's been trying for you.
Well, I just add on the bag program, it's challenging because you want so much for the bag program, but we really wanted to keep it. But it's a tremendous value for $5 a month. You get one bag a week to put out. You get your recycling included, which is probably $5 or $8 a month collection. You get household hazardous waste collection. You get a lot for it. So there's a lot in there. So in my mind, when these problems come up, I still tell myself, this is a tremendous value that you're getting here. We couldn't come up with a better value cost-wise. I know people are unhappy about things, but it's the value that helps to create some of the restrictions that have to be put in place to make it work. That's all.
Well, no matter how valuable, I mean, what the value is, the problem is the scattered garbage when some animal rips into the bag. If we could solve that, maybe they would appreciate more the value of the program. But I think that offsets the value when the resident has to go out and clean up the garbage because the animal scattered it.
Yeah, this has come up a few times before. It hasn't really been that big of an issue until this year, but that element didn't change. What we were doing before this year is almost the same as what we did in past years. The bag is a manual collection, and it was a bag sticker program at the time.
Right.
So there should none has changed. So I'm not sure why it's become a bigger issue, but it has. But I think we need to come up with an answer, because the answer that we have is you go to the CART, the senior discounted program, and it's a little more expensive, so they don't want to do that. So we're just going to have to report back to you how this could work. And,
Maybe it's a bigger issue because the population is aging. Maybe there's, I don't know, maybe there's more people on the bag program. I don't know.
I think there's about 700 or 800 on the bag program out of 13,000 units. So it's noticeable, but it's not as big as you might think. But I don't know. I think currently that's what it is. I don't know. It may, if the population's aging, then both the senior programs probably see more accounts than the regular program.
All right, thanks, Mike.
Work on it.
Any other further board comments?
I have one more question, and sorry, I forgot to bring this up before, and it's for Manager Falk, if you don't mind. Going back to the RFP for the comprehensive plan, just a curiosity question. On page 9 on that, under qualifications and experience for a consulting firm, under the first bullet point, it says that the firm should have previous experience. But then it says no more than 3 projects in parentheses. I'm just curious, so the firm you're looking for, they can't have done more than 3 projects? Is that what that means?
No, just that we don't want them coming with us like 5, 6, 7, 8 projects. Just keep it a limit of 3.
So you mean like current projects that they're working on?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, that would make sense, because it said previous experience no more than 3. I just wondered why it was limited to 3, but if it's 3 currently that they're working on, I understand that. Okay, thank you.
Anything else from the board tonight? No announcements. If not, I just need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn? Second.
Discussion? All those in favor state aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Meeting adjourned at 7:52. Executive session to follow to talk about personnel matters.